Good evening, Doc, and good evening, colleagues. We are going to look at a topic as simple as anything, which I, Frank Anane WK, my index number is CDITGA 1422007. The topic that has been given to us to talk about is implementing virtual reality in the classroom and challenges in implementing virtual reality in education. Now, in this topic, we are going to look at the following. We are going to look at the concept of virtual reality. We are going to look at the importance of virtual reality in the classroom, challenges associated with the use of virtual reality, and the need for virtual reality to be creative in general. Now, the question is, what is virtual reality? We are saying that virtual reality is a computer-generated environment with scenes and objects that appear to be real, making the user feel they are immersed in their surroundings. This environment is perceived through a device known as a virtual reality headset or helmet. Now, when we talk about virtual reality, we are saying that it's a gadget that when you wear it, you will see yourself in a virtual world, a world that you perceive that you are there, but it is not real, and you will be seen as an avatar or an icon or a cartoon that shows that you are in that scene or environment. So as I said earlier, before you can be in that scene, you must have or you must wear something called the helmet, VR helmet or headset. Now, we are saying that virtual reality has now been embedded or has now entered into the food of education because it's bringing education into reality. It's bringing life into education. It's making what people adhere to the environmental condition, especially the subject related. So when we talk about the primary element of virtual reality, we are saying that one is virtual world. And when we talk about virtual world, we are saying it's a computer simulated world where people inhabit as avatars. It could be 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional, and people can interact with each other via text or real-time voice communication. That is what voice over internet protocol. So if you look at the image on top, over here, this is what we call the virtual world. And the people that you are seeing there, they are the avatar. So they are in their world, but the person wearing it is part of that world or that avatar. So we are saying that you can use the VR to you can see it in 2 dimensions or in 3 dimensions, right? With the 2D or the 3D, and you are interacting. You can either interact with audio or text, and the audio is what we call the VoIP, which is the what? Voice over internet protocol. So when we talk about voice over internet protocol, we are saying that it allows you to make voice calls using a broadband internet connection instead of a regular or analog phone lines. So one of the primary elements is what? Virtual world. You'll be in the virtual world aside the physical world. Now the next one is what we call the immersion. When we talk about immersion into the virtual reality, it's a perception of being physically present in a non-physical world. So you are immersing yourself into the physical world as if you are in it. So this is a virtual world, which is an avatar that will be in that world or virtual. So you are embedding, you are soaked into that virtual world of it, which is non-physical world. That's the meaning of the second one. Now, the third one is interactivity. When we talk about interactivity, we are saying a virtual reality environment allows users to interact with the digital world in the same way we interact with the physical world. So the user can interact with 3D objects in virtual reality space by holding and moving them. If you want to utilize this interaction pattern, you need to give users a visual reticle. And when we talk about visual reticle, we are just looking at you being visual aid to track targets. You can track target, as you can see from the image here. So you are just tracking target. I know most of you have been watching cartoons, so you know how it is, as if you are going to Okay, so that is the what you call the interactivity, where users use the what the devices or the helmet to interact with their sensory aspect of it. Now the next one is the sensory feedback. Sensory feedback is where virtual reality is highly dependent on visual information, although it offers multimodal channels for sensory feedback. So when you wear the helmet, we are saying that your senses, your senses, every part, your hand, your eye, your sight is seeing. They are multimodal. It means they are multifunction, and all the sensory part give result or give feedback to the headset when you wear it to what control the avatar in the what non-physical world of it. Now the next one is what we call the immerse your student, ways to engage students in the virtual classroom. So another ways that we can engage students in the classroom is to immerse your student. When we talk about immerse student, we are simply saying that it works by creating a virtual world that users can see and interact. That's one of the ways we can engage students. One could use the virtual reality headset to immerse your student in social history lesson. So all that the immerse your student is talking about, that we can use the virtual reality to be able to engage students in all diverse of the subjects. We put the student into the subject. So for example, that is something about history of a particular activity or event or a particular culture. When you embed the virtual reality and you let the child wear the helmet, and the child will feel as if he or she is part of the activity in that non-virtual world or in that non-physical world. So this helps the kids to think beyond the reality. It brings creativity to the child. So the first point is what we are immersing the student into that activity of the class. Then the next one is what language immersion. When we talk about language immersion, we are saying that it is much easier to study a language when immersed in the culture and surrounded by fluent speakers. However, one of the best ways to do this is by using virtual reality. Students can get a feel of the culture and have conversation with virtual people. So for example, you only know maybe English and maybe you are not good at French. Let's take the French subject where people are not all that good in French. So we are simply saying that when we embed virtual reality into that language of French, now we will program it, or it can be programmed to suit the child speaking with what avatars who speak French. So when the child wears the helmet, the child can speak French as an avatar in the what non-physical world. By so doing, the child is grabbing or is grasping a lot of what these basic skills. By so doing, the child will now be fluent when the child is being inculcated or is being trained or is using this for a long time. So by this way doing, the child will learn the subject or the language French. Now the next one we are looking at is experience what things closely. We are saying that the presence of virtual reality, the world can be viewed sitting in a classroom, whether it is a heavy machine working, a historical monument, or underwater ecosystem. So that's what we call what experience closely. So we are saying that it was difficult to provide students with the opportunity to examine things closely. After the introduction of virtual reality, the world can be viewed sitting in a classroom. So if you want to go to space, the child can be in the classroom, the child will wear the helmet, then the child will be seen, or the child will see him or herself in the space. That's the power of virtual reality. So virtual reality can even do a lot of things, where even if you want to learn about ecosystem, where you want to go beneath the water and study the things over there, you don't need to travel. Just have the virtual reality headset, where it's being programmed. Then now the child will be seen under the water as echo and be studying the things there whilst he or she is in the classroom. Now what the next thing we are going to look at is what explore geographical locations. So as we have mentioned, virtual reality can be used to explore various locations all around the globe. As we have also mentioned, for example, if a student are learning about what coastal erosion, the teacher could use virtual reality to take them to the beach. So students can discover the different formation of the earth by traveling to different areas. So while the child wears the virtual reality, the child can be used to explore various locations. The child doesn't need to travel, so the child have to be in the classroom but still exploring various locations around the globe whilst he or she is in the classroom. Now look inside the human, explore the inner parts of the body. This is also powerful for practical, especially for science students who are very dull or dim or about some basic knowledge. We are saying that virtual reality can also be used to bring anatomy to life. Certain softwares allow the class to explore the human body and identify the various or different organs. This can be especially helpful in natural science and biology. So when we talk about even not even biology alone, even in practical, for example, pre-technical skills or something like creative career technology, there is something like creative art and what design. Now when you are doing explore and want to know the inner part of a human being or animal or whatever as a practical, when the child is able to wear the helmet of the VR, the child will be able to explore only if it has been programmed to explore the human part, or like objects, like maybe let's say a rat or a mice or mouse. Now when this is done, the child will be able to know the various parts of the human part. Am I getting it? Better than you being afraid, but here when you wear it, you an avatar examining the various parts of the human body. So practically this virtual reality is very, very helpful in this area. Now the next one is to take a closer look at intricate system. Virtual reality is sometimes used to take a closer look at intricate systems that are taught in school. So sometimes we are saying that, for example, students who are studying mechanical engineering often use virtual reality to look for what? Apparatus and machinery equipment. So for example, if there may be a vehicle, you can use virtual reality to examine the innermost part of an engine. Yes. So when the technical student does all these things, that means that the child have seen how an engine operates, was on being put that on who the engine to, but the virtual reality has even helped the child to examine or go innermost part of the engine. So it's very, very important to do or to use virtual reality in education. Now the next one is engagement tool. When we talk about engagement tool, we are saying that virtual reality is offering students of all ages a fantastic opportunity to have fun while learning. It engages students in the classroom with virtual activities such as a trip to Mars. Therefore, with virtual reality, the possibilities and endless is very spare. It's easy for students to go deeper learning with virtual reality, where visualization means not to absorb as much information rather than express it. So over here we are saying that it's an engagement tool where students go, or when they wear the helmet, they go there to experience, not to get information, because when you get information later you forget. But when the child is able to wear the virtual reality headset and be able to explore, engage in it, in that non-physical world, the child has an experience. And we always say experience is the best teacher. So if you are experienced, you have had knowledge about all these things, once you have not even practically, you have not hold it before, but you have seen it, you were in it as an avatar, it gives you much more experience to talk about it, rather than somebody telling you and you are also listening to it, then at the end of the day, once 2 days, 3 days, you have forgotten. So we are saying it is an engagement tool that engages the learners to have an experience in all works of life. The next one is skills training. Virtual reality can also be used to help students learn more practical skills. One of the biggest benefits of virtual reality is that it can be used to produce realistic scenarios. This makes it much more accurate when teaching practical skills such as surgery, changing a car tire, or teaching practice. So when virtual reality comes into skills training, for example, you want to change the tire of a car. You have not done that before, you have not seen before, but you have bought a car, you have a car, you have borrowed a car, you have hired a car. What you are saying, that when it happens to you, how will you do it? So with the use of the virtual reality headset and the programming aspect of it, you will be immersed as an avatar into that non-physical world, where you will be changing the tire in that world. By so doing, practically, experientially, you have got some skills in it. So therefore, when it happens to you in real life situation, you can be able to do it because you have seen yourself as an avatar, and what you are working on it. So it's very, very important. It's very, very important to look at all those things as skills training that can help. So all these are ways we can engage students in virtual reality classroom. Now the next one is physical education. Teachers could use virtual reality in physical education where we say PE. For example, virtual reality can be used to play tennis, volleyball, baseball, golf, and so on. We have some children, when you are engaging them in these things, they are afraid. They feel that they are afraid that they will get hurt. But you see, the power of virtual reality, to a sense that it brings the child closer to reality. That's the power of what? Virtual reality. So in the physical education like PE, you want to teach the child how to play volleyball, how to teach the child to play table tennis. You configure the software as volleyball, as table tennis, or baseball, or golf. Then the child wears the helmet, and the child is seen as a player in that field of event. Then the child will be learning how to play. By so doing, I'm sure the first day on correct one or perfectly, but as the child does it continuously, the child will be used to that type of game until when the child is off from the non-physical world and comes to the real world, and he or she sees it being played, she will have a fair idea. She can even narrate how it's being done. He or she can even play because she has had or he has had an experience on it. That's what physical education, and they help. So what I started by saying that virtual reality can be used in any field. They are making the teaching more lively. The next one is what? It explores the virtual reality potential. We are saying that this virtual reality solution has been designed so that students can explain their own world right from the virtual reality essay. So see, everything the child was it. The world that is surrounded by him or her. So virtual reality can be massively used for students with special educational needs. So it's not only for able students, it's not only for disabled students, it's meant for everybody at all. Even aged, not aged, able, disabled, anybody. Virtual reality is so powerful. A child who's disabled, intellectually disabled, physically disabled, mentally disabled, you can program the virtual reality to suit that child, so that the child, it will help the child to uplift or to learn as easy as anything. That's the power of virtual reality. That's the power of virtual reality. Doesn't mean that we can sideline the disabled. No. It's even powerful for them more than the physical, but it's all good for everybody that can use it. Now the next one is what you say, challenges associated with the use of virtual reality. Among all these things, you can say that the virtual reality has come, is so powerful, and then you may have one or two hinges. It may come with one or two problems. So the first problem that we will see is what? High price tag. When we talk about high price tag, the word high price means that something that's powerful, something that is good, something that's original, something that is even, let's say, it's even can be used by anybody, no matter the caliber of person, has high price. The price for buying virtual reality is not a joke. It's not a joke. But we can say that if it's so powerful, you can get that money, save money for the sake of education, for the sake of your learners. You can even buy. So the next one is lack of knowledge about what virtual reality is. Another challenge is that people don't know what virtual reality is mainly used for. They don't have any idea about virtual reality. The essence of the virtual reality, they are seeing it as if it's a gaming world. It's a gaming world of it. Which is I am about car race, motor race. But they don't know that it can be embedded in education. Because when you introduce this in education, especially classroom, I don't think children will even go to game center, because you are learning social studies, you are learning the map of Ghana, and you are even in every region of the map of Ghana through virtual reality. You are in what? non-physical world, but people lack the knowledge on it, so that makes it a challenge. The next one is teachers are not tech savvy. When we talk about teachers are not tech savvy, we are simply looking at teachers are not a practical, they are not supposed to be practical savvy. They are not people that can be used for practical. So because of that, it makes virtual reality to be a challenge. Teachers are not tech savvy or savvy, meaning teachers cannot be used as a practical example, or teachers cannot use their mouth and be practicalizing things. So when I talk about this is a challenge, because the city teacher has always and all knowing, and should be using examples, and he should cite himself or herself as example, and should be seen as example. So everything that is as if teacher is a perfect person. As if teacher is a perfect person. So teachers are not tech savvy. The next one is parents are anxious about effect of virtual reality on children. Parents are anxious about the effect of virtual reality on children. So parents want to know the effect that it may have on the children. Yes. So because of this, they don't allow the children to have these devices or use these devices. So they see them as what? Tech service, and they see them as also what? They're anxious. Who say who use virtual reality, what is the effect that comes to the child? They want to know. You see, because of this, if they know, they cannot what? Patronage or what? Engage their children to have it. These are all challenges that stampede the use of what? Virtual reality in education. Now let's continue to the effect of virtual reality on children. We cannot say that virtual reality is good, so it doesn't have consequences, it doesn't have effect. The effects are numerous, but still they have solutions. So when we talk about the solution number one, the effect number one is what? Simulator what? Sickness. When we talk about simulator sickness, we are simply saying that, as I read from the screen, motion sickness can occur when there are inconsistent signals between your inner ears vestibular sense of motion and what your eyes are seeing. Because your brain senses these signals are inconsistent, it then assumes that your body is sick, potentially from a toxin or some other infection. At that point, your brain may decide to induce headaches, dizziness, disorientation, and what? And nuisance. What it's talking about is that one of the effects is that simulator sickness. Simulator means movement, motion. So said, when you wear the helmet or you are using the VR, due to the inconsistent signals or interrupted signals or uncontrollable signals that goes into the inner ears drum of the vestibular sense of motion and the eye seeing alone, they may cause confusion within this signal that makes it inconsistent and assume that your body is sick. They make your body feel uncomfortable and restless. So they bring out toxin, the effect and afflictions. By so doing, this sum up and causes what they call the headache. So when you are not feeling okay in your system, as if you'll be feeling dizzy, you'll be feeling discomfort, you'll be feeling nausea, as if running nose and the rest. All these are what? The effect of what? Virtual reality. That simulator sickness, motion sickness. Internet sometimes between share helmet is an infinity as in the and it's now here because I didn't know. So it is the headset is regulating. As soon as the mama a fan is na the yareni ba na efe wa simulator sickness or one na popo or person onya dibi na ne bibi so because it's inconsistent. The signal is inconsistent. That goes into the ears and the eyes. That causes what? The headaches and the dizziness. The next one we shall look at is what called the nuisance occur when using what? Virtual reality. Your brain starts to panic when your eye sees a sense that says you should move when you are actually not moving. That's how it is. So nuisance what? The nuisance what occur when using the virtual reality. So it starts by panicking. You panic when your eyes see a scene that says you should what move. Your eyes have seen something that it says do the action, and the action is not being done. That will cause all those things that we are talking about. The next one is what we look at, addiction to what? Using virtual reality. Addiction. When we talk about addiction, we are saying that this causes such users to feel very often nervous or tense. This feeling of anxiety may take a while because the virtual environment feels so real to them. Some users even experience what? Escapism, which makes them believe in the virtual world than the real world. As a be our book games, or that also nice or book game. The person has now been addicted. Into uji set ni few okra or hokra na the bibi so and the body part that all usually so and the child also feels anxiety, eager to do it. Sometimes you feel saddened that because of all these things he sees the non-physical world as well than the physical world. So the child believes in the avatar world more than the real world, because your own avatar world or virtual reality world is more powerful, it's more good, as of feeling comfortable in it than the real world. Nobody intimidate him or her in the world, in the physical world, in the virtual world. Nobody insult him in the virtual world or non-physical world. And so of feeling almost comfortable than the physical world or the real world. Now the next one is not enough creativity, and we are saying that another challenge that goes to this one is that this is one of the most interesting challenges of virtual reality. Very challenge, very, since it requires both businesses and their technology partners to get creative. Nobody wants to put on virtual reality glasses and live through their boring real life experience in the virtual world. The good news is that with the right technology provider, you can create virtually any product that could be customized to your needs, and they will be able to bring your imagination to life. So that's one thing about the one of the effects of not enough creativity, because people feel more comfortable in the physical world. When they create something, they feel so nice in the, so it makes their real life very, very boring. It makes their real life, so they lack the creativity to think if they are not in the physical world. So when they come to the real life, in fact, they cannot do anything. But the virtual world, they can do something. Yes, that is who the essence of that is they lack creativity in the real world, because they are used to the virtual world of it. Now, ways to avoid simulator sickness. Now, all the effects that we have mentioned, let's look at the ways we can curb it. One, we are saying that ensure that headset is properly properly adjusted. So we are saying that if the virtual world seems blurry when trying on your headset, most likely the headset needs adjustment. So most headset enable users to track the device's feet and distance from their eyes to eliminate any blurriness or blurriness. So be sure your headset is properly adjusted before going into any virtual reality experience. So suit your headset very well, adjust your headset very well, make sure everything is well able before you go there. Otherwise, if you don't wear the helmet very well or the headset very well, you may have simulator sickness. So one of the ways to curb is to make sure you properly adjust your headset. Number two is to sit down. So for some people, the sense of stability that being seated provides helps than overcoming their motion. So because of the headset, they don't sit down, they stand and they feel well. Be the kind of, they feel benze, and they feel well that they are also in the avatar world or they are virtual world and they are doing it. But in the real sense, you are supposed to sit down, properly position your headset, and you enjoy your virtual world. The next one is to keep text legible. Keep text legible. So you are saying that avoid reading or using small formatted text in virtual reality, and keep text used to minimum, just a few words at a time. So the text that you use you use in virtual reality, you keep them legible. Legible means clear and able to be seen and read. As simple as that. The next one we are looking at is no unexpected movement. No unexpected movement. When developing, never use the camera what to what never move the camera programmably without reason. So no unexpected movement. So the user should feel motion occurs due to what his own motion or trigger their interaction. So no unexpected movement. Your movement should be within the interval, should be within the what. Don't move haphazardly, don't move anyhow. So it must be programmed based on the camera. Unexpected movement. Now let's continue. In summary, what we talk about in virtual reality. So what we are saying that though there are barriers in implementing virtual reality, especially in schools, but the benefit of joining the virtual reality revolution are just too good to miss. With a steady positive change in technology each day, we can certainly get around the challenges to realize the potential of virtual reality in the near future. All that we are saying that in summary, virtual reality is very powerful. Though it has challenges, it has effects, and we have even seen the ways the way we can keep the effect. So when virtual reality is embedded into education, which is now even growing and booming into the world of education, in fact, it makes teaching and learning easy or easier for even teachers, because it can be embedded in any subject at all. The power of virtual reality. Thank you very much for giving me the honor to explain the topic. Thank you.